Let's get on the phone now with Barry Hirschman. He's a geophysicist from the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. Barry, can you give us some perspective here? I think the biggest question we have is how large of a wave do you think this thing generated along the coast of Chile, and how large of a wave can this thing be when it hits Hawaii several hours from now?
Well, we have actual measurements of the wave along the coast of Chile, and it ranges anywhere from like a 16-foot wave peak to peak down to as small as a 5-foot wave, but as large as 14 or 15 feet peak to peak.
Now, are those measurements taken on the shoreline, or are they offshore? Because that would mean different things.
Yeah, no, they're taking that water level gauges that are in harbors and along the shore.
Okay. So 16-foot wave right along the shoreline, pretty close, obviously, to the epicenter, given that it's already struck. Does that give you some peace of mind when you think about what this is going to do to other places further north and west?
No. Well, to the north and west, we don't know yet, but excuse me. But there's we're feeding all that as we gather water level data. We're feeding it into our models, which will then turn around and hopefully eventually give us some predictions on what to expect in other places. In Hawaii, we expect as large as we'll get larger waves in the bays than we will in the open coast. In the bays, for example, Hilo Bay, we expect to see perhaps 3 or 4 meters, which going back to feet, 10 or 15 feet there in the harbors. But we don't really have a good handle on that. We'll get a better handle as we start to look at more and more of these water level gauges and iterate between them and our models.
So obviously, geography or bathymetry has a lot to do with it. We've also noticed for our U.S. viewers, there's been an advisory that's been posted now for the western part of North America, California, Oregon, and Washington. What does an advisory mean?
Advisory is sort of the lowest level in the hierarchy. You've got a warning is the highest, a watch, and an advisory. An advisory is sort of a first level heads up that there's been a big event and it could affect the coast later, and that the scientists are watching it very closely, and they're coordinating with civil defense, and at some point, if necessary, they'll upgrade that to a watch.
To reiterate what you're saying is in regards to Hilo Bay, likely to see a 10 to 15 foot rise. Betty asked me a question, and I gave her an answer. Now I'm thinking, I think that's right. These things travel about 500 miles an hour. Do they slow down as they get further out, or I assume they slow down as they hit more friction in shallow water? But
exactly. They go across the open ocean at those speeds, and as they get near shallow water, they slow down and grow.
Just to reiterate what he said, Hawaii expecting to see a wave in the order of, especially in the bays, 10 to 15 feet high.
Goodness.
And that would have, traveling at 500 miles, that would get there at 11 a.m. local time.
Okay.
But what was striking to me, what he said was, it's going to last several hours, and there'll be several waves, and the largest wave may not be the first wave.